Welcome back to Crime Story with Camila. Today we talk about a chilling story of the haunting mystery of the Zodiac Killer. Stay tuned as we delve in. It began on December 20th, 1968. A quiet Friday night turned into a nightmare when high school sweethearts Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday drove to a secluded spot on Lake Herman Road. They had no idea it would be their last night alive. Betty Lou and David were brutally gunned down. Investigators were baffled by the seemingly random and senseless nature of the attack. No clear motive, no suspect. Just a chilling silence. Just 7 months later, on July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac struck again. This time, at Blue Rock Springs Park, a quiet spot near Vallejo. Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau were ambushed in their car. Michael Mageau survived the attack and gave police a chilling description of the gunman. A stocky man in his late 20s or early 30s, wearing dark clothing and glasses. But the killer had already disappeared into the night. 3 weeks later, the world heard from the killer himself. In a taunting letter sent to local newspapers, the Zodiac took credit for the murders, offering disturbing details only the killer could know. Attached to the letter was a cipher, a puzzle the killer claimed would reveal his identity. It was a deadly game, and the police and media were forced to play along. As the summer of fear gripped the region, the Zodiac's spree continued. His next target? Lake Berryessa, with 3 confirmed attacks and the killer's cryptic letters flooding local newsrooms. Investigators from multiple jurisdictions were scrambling to piece together the puzzle. The Zodiac seemed to relish in the confusion he created, leading authorities on a twisted cat-and-mouse chase. Michael Mageau's description gave police their first clue. The Zodiac was calm, methodical, and unafraid of being seen. Yet, his true identity remained elusive. 3 high-profile newspapers received letters containing a 408-symbol cipher, which the Zodiac claimed would reveal his motive. While the police struggled, it was a schoolteacher and his wife who finally cracked the code. The decoded message revealed chilling insights into the Zodiac's twisted mind, but no name, no identity, and no way to stop him. One name surfaced repeatedly in the investigation: Arthur Lee Allen, a Vallejo man with a troubling past and a fascination with violence. Investigators found circumstantial evidence tying him to the Zodiac, yet nothing definitive. Despite strong suspicions, Allen's fingerprints, handwriting, and DNA failed to match those linked to the Zodiac. The case against him crumbled, leaving investigators with more questions than answers. The Zodiac's taunts continued, but the trail seemed to go cold. Letters boasting of more killings, phone calls to local media, and bizarre ciphers only deepened the mystery. The police were haunted by the Zodiac's promise. With each taunt, the killer's confidence grew, while the investigation grew more desperate. The Zodiac didn't just kill. He left behind cryptic messages at his crime scenes, further cementing his image as a calculating and elusive predator. As the Zodiac's reign of terror continued, the investigation spiraled into a labyrinth of suspects, codes, and dead ends. But even decades later, the search for the truth would not stop. During the late 1960s and 1970s, the Zodiac's taunts fueled a media frenzy. His letters, sent to newspapers like the San Francisco Chronicle, were printed for the public to see. The fear and intrigue were palpable, making the Zodiac one of the most infamous criminals of his time. Hollywood capitalized on the mystery, with films like David Fincher's Zodiac bringing the case back into the spotlight decades later. The movie, based on Robert Graysmith's best-selling book, meticulously reconstructed the investigation and reignited public interest. The film not only entertained, but also served as a sobering reminder of the lives lost and the questions left unanswered. The true crime genre has embraced the Zodiac like no other case. From podcasts and documentaries to amateur sleuths on Reddit, the Zodiac story continues to captivate audiences worldwide. During his reign, the Zodiac didn't just kill. He created a culture of fear. People locked their doors, avoided secluded areas, and lived with the paranoia that the killer could strike again at any moment. Even in his taunts, the Zodiac hinted at his awareness of his own infamy. adding another layer to his haunting legacy. Decades later, the Zodiac remains a subject of obsession. Amateur sleuths have spent countless hours poring over every detail, every clue, trying to answer the one question that eluded law enforcement. Who was the Zodiac? As technology advances and new evidence emerges, could we finally unmask the Zodiac? Or will his identity remain one of history's greatest mysteries? More than 50 years have passed since the Zodiac's reign of terror, yet the search for his identity continues. Advances in forensic technology and the dedication of amateur sleuths have breathed new life into this cold case. In recent years, forensic genealogy, used to identify the Golden State Killer, has offered new hope in the Zodiac case. DNA extracted from envelopes and stamps used in his letters has become a critical focus. Could this revolutionary technique finally unmask one of history's most elusive criminals? Experts remain optimistic, though no definitive match has been made. Beyond official investigations, a global community of online detectives has taken up the case. From decoding ciphers to proposing new suspects, their work has kept the Zodiac's mystery alive in the digital age. In 2021, a group known as the Casebreakers claimed they had identified the Zodiac as Gary Francis Post, a deceased Air Force veteran. While their findings sparked widespread interest, law enforcement has yet to confirm these claims. Like many before him, Post's name remains another tantalizing theory in the Zodiac saga. In 2020, a team of cryptologists finally solved the Zodiac's infamous 340-character cipher, which had baffled experts for decades. The message offered no new clues about his identity, but it proved that even after all this time, his puzzles could be cracked. The discovery reignited hope that the remaining ciphers could still hold the ultimate answer. As technology evolves and new methods emerge, the Zodiac case remains a haunting reminder of our fascination with the unknown. But the question remains, will this case ever truly be solved? The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror may have ended decades ago, but his shadow lingers. For the families of the victims, the pain of loss is compounded by the lack of justice. For investigators and amateur sleuths, the case remains a challenge, a riddle that demands to be solved. Betty Lou Jensen, David Faraday, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, Paul Stein, they were more than names on a police report. They were sons and daughters, loved and cherished, whose lives were cut short by a faceless killer. Perhaps the Zodiac intended to remain a mystery, a ghost that would haunt the collective memory of a nation. But as time goes on, even the most well-kept secrets have a way of surfacing. With each passing year, technology advances, memories resurface, and new generations of investigators take up the search. The Zodiac story isn't over. It's simply waiting for its final chapter. Will we ever know the truth? Or will the Zodiac Killer remain one of history's most haunting mysteries?
Thanks for watching. For more interesting videos, please subscribe.